following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
Hi, I'm Nicole, and this is my sister Bella, and we are going to ask my dad a few questions, who is turning 50 years old this year. And he asked us to interview him. So here is my dad, who was born on February 15th, 1959 in San Jose, California. So, Dad, where did you live as a kid, and what are your memories of when you were little?
My earliest memories are when I was living in Bakersfield, and we lived there from the time I was about 3 years old until I was in the middle of first grade. And the memories are not strong, but I do remember living in a tract home where the houses were newly built. I think they were 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses. I remember we had a 59 Chevy, and that Kirkwood and I would sit on the back of these fins. And I really liked that 59 Chevy, and if I can ever have my dream car one day, it'll be that 59 Chevy station wagon Impala. My strongest memories of being a kid are when I lived in San Luis Obispo, and that was from first grade up through 5th grade. And we lived out in the countryside in a little area called the Country Club. It wasn't so much that it was a big fancy country club. They were little mid-sized tract homes built around the country club of the San Luis Obispo golf course.
When you were a kid in school, what kind of student were you? And what did you like inside or outside of the classroom?
I like that question because when I was a kid, I wasn't much of a student at all. Everything about me when I was in grammar school and middle school was all about recess and lunch. I did the work just so that I can go outside and play. And when I was in grammar school, the things I liked to do the most were play kickball, football, baseball, go on the slides. I loved going on the swing. We had a teeter-totter and we had a merry-go-round at our elementary school.
Who was your best friend as a kid?
When I was a kid, I think I told you guys this before also, it was a guy with the same name as me, Tim Oliver. And Tim Oliver and I spent hours and hours riding bikes around the country club area and building these coasters that we would coast down the hill. We'd pull them up and then coast down.
Where did you go to college, and why did you decide to go there?
College, I went to a whole bunch of different colleges. The first college I went to right after high school was Cuesta College. And that was primarily because my dad worked at Cuesta College. He taught in the art department. So I went to Cuesta College for 2 years, and it was while I was there that I took radio and television classes and caught an interest in making movies. And so during my period when I was at Cuesta College, that was when I decided, maybe I can actually make a living doing something that's fun. And so after I went to Cuesta for 2 years, I had the idea of transferring to an upper division school, but I didn't get in right away to USC, so I ended up going to Pierce College for 1 year in Los Angeles. And after I went to Pierce College for 1 year, then I applied again to USC. It actually took me three tries applying to USC to get in, and I did get into USC and finished going to there for about 2.5 years. So I graduated from USC in 1985.
So, Dad, tell us the story of how you met Mom, and when did you get married? What was your wedding like?
I met your mom, Florencia Gascon. I can remember the date even. It was November 11th, 1988. And it was at her cousin Miguel's wedding. And he introduced me to a whole score of his friends and his cousins. And it was at the wedding, which was where I met your mom, Florencia. And I thought right away, I go, ooh, I like her. So it took a while to chase her down, but that was when I first met her in November 1988. And almost 2 years to the day, we eventually got married, and we got married November 9th in 1990. The wedding was huge. I can remember parts of it, but the details, it was so overwhelming. There was so much going on. There were so many people and so much activity that I almost didn't actually enjoy it.
You worked in movies and televisions. What were some of the shows you worked on, and did you ever meet any big stars?
When I was 21 years old, I got my first job in television, and it was on the television show Soap. Soap ran from 1977 to 1981, and I was hired as a gopher, we were called runners, for the final and 4th season. It was a dream job for a number of reasons, because it was a great entry-level job, but at the time it was my favorite show, so it was a dream come true of working on your favorite television show. Later on, I worked on a show called Open All Night. It was only on the air for half a season. I worked on a show called Fridays, briefly. Fridays was the ABC version of Saturday Night Live. I worked on a show called It Takes Two with Richard Crenna and Patty Duke as a script supervisor. And later on, as Isabella's reminded me, probably the most rewarding and fun and easiest job I ever had was being the editor on Salute Your Shorts. We made, I think over the course of a year, we made about 20 episodes, and I edited every show. And Steve Slofkin, who became a good friend of mine, he was the creator of the show and the writer, and we used to have a lot of fun laughs sitting in the editing room, and he would always tell me, after he would review a cut, he would say, "Timbo, that's great, but do it again with more cuts." I oftentimes get asked this by you guys and by people that I work with outside of the movie industry, and they say, "Who did you ever meet that was big?" And I never met Tom Cruise. I never met Julia Roberts. I never met Brad Pitt or Hannah Montana. I never met. But in my period, when I worked on soap, there were some pretty big shots at that time who I really got to enjoy and admire. There was Katherine Hellman. She was one of the lead actresses on Soap, and I just adored her. She was so nice. Robert Mandan was on Soap. He was a lot of fun and a very nice fellow. In 1981, Deborah Winger made a movie called Urban Cowboy with John Travolta.
Did you meet John Travolta?
No, I didn't meet John Travolta, but I met Deborah Winger, and for me, that was even better.
Where did you live after college, and what will you do? What was your first job after college?
I graduated May 10th, 1985, and I lived in a little one-bedroom apartment in Studio City, California. I was 26 years old at the time, and my first job right after college was working for Roger Corman's studio called New Horizons Pictures. I was an apprentice editor. I did a lot of driving, similar to the job I did when I was in Soap, driving movies around town, driving film dailies to the lab and to the studio. I was quickly promoted up to editor of trailers, and so within a half a year I was editing trailers for New Horizons Pictures.
Where did you and my mom live after you got married, and when did you move to Mill Valley?
Mom and I got married in November 1990, and I was still living in Studio City at the time, so she moved in with me in my little one-bedroom apartment. We lived there for a year and a half, and then moved to Mill Valley in the summer of 1992. So we've been in Mill Valley since 1992, here in this house, 514 Browning Court, same house for how many years is that now? 18 years.
18.
Wow.